Hey folks, it's Rob, and welcome back. We're continuing our series today on the Monstrous Compendium Appendix. We're, for the Mystara setting, we're on part 38, which is page 102. Yes. And we have here a Spectral Hound. Gotta say, the art plays into it. It's got this kind of, unhappy, stern dog face with, teeth coming up, and it's got, it is not a happy dog. No. And he's got claws, and they're kind of ghostly feet, right? But otherwise, it's like a coon hound or some kind of scent dog, right? Uh, Definitely, I would call it a hound, indeed. And but it has no eyes. It just has a squinty brow, and it goes, Sorry, I'm being a bit silly, but yeah, I love dogs. Anyhow, I also love cats. But let's see here. Spectral Hound, climate/terrain, any. Frequency very rare. Organization solitary or pack. Activity cycle any. Uh, Diet carnivore. Intelligence semi 2 to 4. Treasure nil. Alignment chaotic evil. Oh, they're mean evil doggies. Well, I already knew that, but Number appearing 1d6. Armor class -2. Movement 15, so faster than our average human. Hit dice 5. To hit AC 0, 15. Number of attacks 1. Damage per attack 2d6. Bite. Special attacks are bite victims become astral. Special defenses, keen senses, hit only by silver or magical weapons, which, combined with the -2 AC. Keep that in mind if you want to throw one at the party. No magic resistance, size medium, 5 foot long, so, a fairly large dog. Mastiff, Morale, fearless, 19. XP value, 975. Spectral Hounds are creatures from the astral plane. On the prime material plane, a spectral hound looks like a ghostly dog, pale and translucent, with eyes that are formless pools of utter blackness. Well, I'd say we definitely have that pictured here. Combat. Spectral hounds are excellent trackers. Once put on a trail, they can follow it for days. Spectral hounds track as rangers with a basic tracking score of 25. They can move at full speed and still track in any situation where their adjusted tracking score is 20 or more. If necessary, they can travel astrally to overcome obstacles that might otherwise keep them from following their prey. A spectral hound's keen senses give it a 50% chance to detect invisible creatures and a +2 bonus on its surprise rolls. Most spectral hounds are domesticated hunting beasts that relish combat. When given prey to chase, they pursue vigorously. Once within about a quarter mile of their prey, they bay joyfully. While this alerts the quarry to the hound's presence, it often distracts them from the other beings working with the hounds, who can flank the victims while the hounds attack frontally. Experienced spectral hound handlers can command their beasts to remain quiet. Despite their enthusiasm for the chase, spectral hounds can be cunning and persistent hunters. If hunting alone or in small group with no handler, spectral hounds quietly shadow their prey for days, waiting for an opportunity to attack when the quarry's defenses are down. Many victims are unaware that they are being pursued until a pack of hounds charges at them through the pre-dawn gloom. Spectral hounds attack by biting with their powerful jaws. Any creature bitten takes 2d6 points of damage and must roll a saving throw versus spell. If the saving throw fails, the victim begins to fade, slowly assuming the same translucent appearance as the spectral hound itself. The entire process takes 24 hours. After 12 hours, a fading character cannot hear or speak to any unfaded characters. From the victim's point of view, it is the rest of the world that is becoming translucent, not himself or herself. The character's equipment, weapons, armor, spell components, and the like, is unaffected and drops away. Because of their inability to handle objects, Faded creatures cannot eat or drink. Mental and energy-based attacks work normally when used against a faded character, but the character is immune to physical attacks. After 12 more hours, the character fades completely from the sight and slips into the astral plane. Once on the astral plane, the victim can handle objects, but isn't likely to find anything lying about, waiting to be picked up, and can seek any normal means to exit the plane and return to the prime material plane. A pinch of dust of appearance can restore a partially faded character, as can a remove curse, dimension door, or teleport spell. The dust or spell must be applied directly to the victim. The teleport and dimension door spells have no effect on the victim other than to end the fading. These remedies can be applied at any time before the character slips into the astral plane. I suppose once they're on the astral plane, of course, you could try to gate them back if you have that kind of spell to hand. That's serious sledgehammer spell power, though. Much like limited wish, maybe. Yeah. Again, if we're gonna go up to that high, but hey, maybe you don't have access to a dimension door spell or a teleport spell. Habitat/society. Various greater and lesser powers residing on the outer planes breed spectral hounds and use them both as guards and to track intruders back to their home planes. There is a 20% chance that some other extraplanar creatures, such as a Titan, Tanari, or Githyanki, is accompanying and commanding any randomly encountered spectral hound. Wild spectral hounds, although rare, can occasionally be found roaming the astral plane in search of prey. A group of 2 wild spectral hounds is always a mated pair. Larger groups will be mated pair and their offspring, or 1 or 2 related female hounds and their suitors. Ecology. Domesticated spectral hounds require much the same kind of care as common dogs: feeding, grooming, exercise, and training. Wild spectral hounds are opportunistic hunters and scavengers that will eat just about anything that they can sink their formidable teeth into. I think I have a slight issue with considering them chaotic evil, as they are pack creatures and seem to be controllable by a handler. I don't know how I would square that circle, per se. Clearly, those are things that indicate order, right? And chaotic is the opposite of order. Evil, I have no problem with. If these are evil creatures, that's fine. And if you were to make it for Beckme or Basic, it's just going to be chaotic. That's the short form for evil in the game. But if you're on the 9-point or 5-point alignment system, chaotic evil strikes me as not necessarily appropriate, but I don't know if I'd go as far as lawful. And let me know what you think. Go ahead and drop a comment. Why not? We'll move on to our second category of item for the day, but this is a 2-pager, so but it's split on front and back page, so we can't put them up at the same time. It is our Spiderkin, and I'm sorry if you don't like spiders. We do have a picture of one of these spiders coming up right here. It's a kind of purpley, stripy spider with a interesting, thorax. But seems to have tiny little hands. Anyhow, it'll become clear which one that is once we get into reading. But if you're not into spiders, I guess it's okay if you skip. But spiders make good monsters, in my opinion. Outside of the Tolkien influence of in the Hobbit and in the Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion, obviously there are spiders, right? And they are functionally treated as evil in the text. And there are spiders in other places of literature as well. And intelligent spiders and non-intelligent spiders aren't the same thing, but they are all just primal monsters, right? Things to be terrified of. There are even they used them in the Harry Potter series. Hagrid is friends with certain spiders in the forest, and they get along well enough with Hagrid because everything gets along well enough with Hagrid. But yeah, the rest of the party's like snacks, right? Uh, Sorry to throw a little Harry Potter at you, but guess what? Even though I am a middle-aged old man, I like Harry Potter movies well enough. I thought the books were a bit simple, but the some of the movies perfectly entertaining for a holiday season. Certainly something to enjoy with the kids, right? Anyhow, let's get on. Spiderkin. So we have 4 types here pictured. And we'll go through the stat blocks first, and then we'll start moving through the text as we tend to do here. But this is page 103. The rest of this will finish off on page 104. So let's start with our first group. We have our Aranea. The climate terrain is non-Arctic forest, frequency rare. They are solitary, active any cycle, diet carnivore, intelligence highly, 13 to 14, treasure type D, chaotic neutral, functionally very selfish, number appearing 1d6, armor class 7, movement 18, in web 12, hit dice 3, to hit AC 0, 17, number of attacks 1, it gets a d6 bite for damage. Special attack is poison and spells. Special defenses, spells. Magic resistance, nil, none. Size, large, 7-foot diameter. I don't know if that's the body or the legs, but I guess it doesn't really matter much. Morale, steady, 11. XP value, 650. Then we have Planar Spiders. Seen these implemented in a few places specifically. Was playing Solasta, which is going to get there's going to be a Solasta 2 they're working on right now. It's a video game, if you're not aware. They use a 5th edition rule set. They use some Planar Spiders. Climate terrain, any. Frequency, very rare. Organization, group or nation. Activity cycle, any. Diet, omnivore. Intelligence, very, 11 to 12. Treasure, special. Alignment, any. Number appearing, 3d6. Armor class, 6. Movement, 18. Doesn't say anything about a web here. Hit dice, 5 to 12. To hit AC 0 is variable depending on the hit dice. So we have 15 at 5 to 6, 13, 7 to 8, 11 at 9 to 10, and 9 at 11 to 12. Regardless, they get 1 attack of a 2d6 bite. They have the ability, special attacks of poison and phasing, special defenses phasing. Oh wait, there was a Planar Spider in Baldur's Gate 3 too. Yeah. And some other spiders. They weren't necessarily intelligent, but there were other spiders. Yeah. Sorry for the disruptions. No magic resistance. Size medium, 5-foot diameter. Morale steady at 11 again. XP values depending on number of hit dice. At 5, 2,000. 6, 3,000. 7, 4,000. 8, 5,000. You can see where this is going. 9, 6,000, 10, 7,000, 11, 8,000, and at 12 hit dice, 9,000. Forgive my pronunciation on this next one. I think with the mark over the E, we're going to be with Ploppéds. I don't know. Again, feel free to correct me. I've never heard anyone pronounce this before, so it's kind of hard to say. Climate/terrain mountains. Frequency very rare. Organization solitary. Activity cycle any. Diet carnivore. Non-intelligent. So in this case, I think they mean basically functionally animal or insect intelligence. Treasure nil. Alignment neutral. Number appearing 2d6. Armor class 9. Movement 12 with a jump of 20. It's a jumping spider. Half hit die. To hit AC 0, 20. It gets one attack, a bite, 1 point of damage, but it does have, as a special attack, poison and its leap. It has special defenses thief abilities, magic resistance nil, size T tiny, 9-inch diameter, morale unsteady at 6, and its XP value is 65. And finally, we have our Rhagodessa, climate terrain, forest, mountains, and subterranean. Frequency rare, organization solitary, their activity cycle is night, their diet is carnivore, intelligence non-0, treasure type O and U in its layer, alignment neutral, and again that's a true neutral, right? Like the animals and insects, they're just motivated by their desires, needs, and self-preservation, right? Number appearing 1d6, armor class 5, movement 15, hit dice 4 plus 2, to hit AC 0, 17, number of attacks 1, it's a 2d4 bite, special attack is grapple, special defense nil, magic resistance nil, size large, 7 foot long, morale steady 12 with an XP value of 270. Moving into the text. The Spiderkin includes several types of creatures found in different parts of Mystara and the planes beyond it that have little in common except for their basic spider shape. Like their cousins, the spiders, Spiderkin, have large mandibles equipped with fangs that can deliver a deadly, usually venomous, bite. The diameters listed in the table above include the creature's outstretched legs. Well, that's helpful, because that certainly makes a difference. That's from side to side, foot to foot, right? As opposed to just side to side of the body. Aranea. These creatures are about the size of small ponies and are nearly indistinguishable from the various types of giant web-spinning spiders. An Aranea, however, has a massive, oddly shaped hump on its back of the head that houses the creature's large and well-developed brain. An Aranea also has an extra pair of limbs just below the mandibles. These limbs end in flexible digits, which the Aranea can use to manipulate simple tools. They spin huge webs, each about 40 foot in diameter, with many narrow extensions winding through the trees nearby. The Aranea use these extensions to travel through the trees from crown to ground level. Only creatures who are very unwary or stumbling about in the dark are likely to become entangled in them. In combat, an Aranea bites with its poisonous fangs for 1d6 points of damage. The victims must make a successful saving throw versus poison or suffer additional damage from the Aranea's venom. During the round that the saving throw fails, the victim feels no ill effects except for faint stiffening of the limbs. However, each round thereafter, the victim suffers 4 points of damage, dying at the end of 1d4 plus 1 rounds regardless of hit points. Nice. So you live on for a period of time, 1d4 plus 1 rounds, suffering some damage, but should you be hardy enough, you will just up and die at the end of that time if you failed your saving throw. So once again, don't fail your saving throw. This is a still fairly lethal version of the game. All Aranea also cast spells as third-level wizards. Their spell books consist of crude rolls of bark written in chalk or charcoal. These scrolls are very delicate and usually fall apart if carried away from the creature's web. In fact, only careful examination reveals that they are valuable at all, as they tend to be well hidden amongst clumps of leaves and other litter that sticks to the web. As a race, Aranea prefers subtle but potent spells, such as illusions, various charm spells, and haste and slow. As a rule, they avoid fire-based spells that might damage their webs or their forest homes. Aranea are clever and patient. Their favorite combat tactic is to lie in wait for prey in the branches of a tree, then silently lower themselves on strands of webbing and begin a spell attack. When confronted by dangerous foes, they often mask their true appearance with illusions and pretend to be elves, rangers, druids, or dryads. The Aranea are also involved in a constant state of war with the Phanetons. And that's where they come from. They come from the Isle of Dread in the original material. Planar Spider. The planar spiders are intelligent, plane-traveling arachnids who have a vast but odd civilization. They can travel both astrally and ethereally, and thus can easily move amongst the planes. Some sages speculate that planar spiders might be related to phase spiders, but there is no definitive proof for this theory. Maybe I was thinking of the phase spiders in Celesta and Baldur's Gate 3. Could be. I could have been misapplying my thought there. Sorry if I misled you. Moving to the next page, and I believe going by the description that this spider is an Aranea, because it has that extra grippy set of limbs down by the mandibles there, and it has that extra head lump behind its head, right? Would have been nice to have had it on the same page as the description, but again, we're making decisions as to layout, right? Anyhow, continuing with our planar spiders. Most planar spiders have 5 hit dice, but leaders of up to 12 hit dice have been reported. Their home plane is almost certainly a deep ethereal demiplane, but it is entirely unknown, and no traces of their cities have ever been discovered. Traveling planar spiders describe the plane as a place where cities lovingly crafted from imperishable white webs. Any planar spider encountered away from its home plane is a veteran traveler who speaks common and at least one other demi-human language. There are many different nations of planar spiders, just as there are many different nations of humans and demi-humans. Planar spiders from the nation of Chak are those most often encountered in and around Mystara. Planar spiders are as unpredictable as humans, but rarely attack adventurers without provocation, preferring instead to attempt to communicate with any creatures that they meet in order to determine the stranger's intentions. On the other hand, some wandering groups of planar spiders, black chak, are thieves or bandits who seek riches by any means, fair or foul. Just basically picture adventuring parties as spiders from another universe, as you do. In combat, a planar spider flits between planes to confuse foes. This gives them a -3 bonus of initiative rolls. If a planar spider wins an initiative roll by a margin of 4 or more, it may attack and then become ethereal before its opponent has a chance to attack. And then become ethereal before its opponent has had a chance to strike back. Their favorite tactic is to appear behind their opponents where they gain a +4 modifier for attacking from the rear and negate bonuses from shield and dexterity. If overmatched, a planar spider flees off plane. If caught on the astral or ethereal planes, planar spiders only get a -1 bonus on initiative rolls and can be attacked every round. A planar spider's fangs carry type F poison. Once bitten, a victim must make a successful saving throw versus poison at a -4 penalty or die. Planar spiders can bite without using the poison if they so desire. Any planar spider encountered may have 30% chance, plus 10% for each hit die beyond 5, 1d3 miscellaneous magical items it can use. Each planar spider also carries 1d4 unusual non-magical items that are not familiar to natives of the prime material plane. Planar spiders, of course, understand these items perfectly well. Now, you as the DM can go as fun with that as you want. You want to introduce a handgun to the game? Go ahead and give a handgun to a planar spider. It's fine. It probably doesn't have much ammunition, admittedly, but, go ahead and figure out how you want to introduce any such thing to your party. I suggest Expedition of the Barrier Peaks, for example, of trying to work out strange, scientific, technical artifacts. There are spellcasting planar spiders, but encounters with them are extremely rare. They can be priests or wizards of up to ninth level. A planar spider's experience point value increases by 1,000 if it casts first or second level spells, by 2,000 points if it casts third or higher spells. Ploppéds. Ploppéds are a mutated strain of common spiders. Currently, they are found only in the Silver Sierra mountain range on the border between Darroquin and Galantry. It's a very specific part of the known world, but it is definitely part of the known world and Mystara setting. Ploppéds have bodies about the size of oranges. Their legs are extremely long and have many knobby joints. Each Ploppéd has a random number of legs, 1d8 plus 2 pairs. Ploppéds are black and hairy regardless of the number of legs. Sages refer to these creatures as polyped, many-legged, but their common local name, Ploppéd, derives from the sounds that they make when leaping about, plop, plop. Ploppéds are very sneaky, and they have the following thief abilities: move silently 40%, climb walls 91%, and hide in shadows 28%. Normally, Ploppéds do not prey on creatures larger than normal-sized rats. However, if startled or cornered, they attack and then run away. In combat, Ploppéds attack by leaping. A Ploppéd can hurl itself up to 20 feet. When fighting creatures significantly larger than themselves, such as humans and demi-humans, a Ploppéd leaps for exposed areas, such as the face or neck. If the Ploppéd scores a hit, it bites and injects a paralytic poison. The victim must make a successful saving throw versus poison or be immediately paralyzed for 1d6 turns. Tiny creatures receive a -4 penalty to their saving throws, and if the saving throw fails, are paralyzed for 1d6 times 10 turns. Now, I imagine if, since they're not keen to attack, if you were to have an encounter with some Ploppéds, they might just, if they can, stun party members with the poison and then flee, right? Since they avoid large opponents. But that's also basically how they hunt, I would imagine. Killing rats and smaller things by leaping on them, biting them, poisoning them, and then, dealing with their body that's been paralyzed for a long period of time. Because, 1d6 times 10 turns, that's not a small amount of time. Rhagodessa. A Rhagodessa is a giant, spider-like carnivore about the size of a light horse. It has massive mandibles and an oversized yellowish head. The rest of the creature is dark brown, except for the eyes, which are gleaming black. A Rhagodessa has 5 pairs of legs. The front pair ends in powerful suckers, which the creature uses to grasp prey. In combat, a Rhagodessa strikes first with those front legs. A successful hit inflicts no damage, but the suckers hold on with a strength of 20. During the next melee round, the Rhagodessa pulls the victim into its mandibles and automatically bites, causing 2d4 points of damage. If harassed while biting prey, a Rhagodessa lifts its victim into the air and scuttles away. The Rhagodessa can lift up to 700 pounds in this manner. Rhagodessas can climb most sheer surfaces if they are not smooth and slippery. They have more difficulty climbing when carrying a victim, but can manage this even this feat if the surface is rough or cracked. Rhagodessas generally devour their prey at the first opportunity. Well, that seems fun. That seems like a reasonable combat encounter, too. Anyhow, also seems vaguely terrifying if you hate spiders. I want to thank you for joining me today for this longer video. I know I haven't done one full half hour in a moment, but hey, we did it. If you have anything to say, please drop in your comment. And I appreciate a like if you were to do one, if you enjoyed the content. Have a great day. I'll see you again next week. Goodbye.